Welcome in, Bears fans, to the post-game show. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. You can check me out over at the Sports Cubicle, Sports from the Couch, and Bear Era. And it was another heartbreaker for the Chicago Bears as they fall to the Minnesota Vikings 30-27. Their record now 4-7 in the year. An overtime thriller, a lot of unexpected plays, up and down, a total roller coaster of a game. And yet it always found a way to be inevitable that the Chicago Bears were going to find a way to lose this game. And just some quick stats, because I think this is more of a big picture conversation, and it being a short week heading into Thanksgiving and that matchup against the Detroit Lions, there's more to talk than just stats, right? Like Caleb Williams going 32-47, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns. Sam Darnold, 22 of 34 for 330 yards and 2 touchdowns. Caleb Williams with 6 carries and 33 yards. DJ Moore, 7 receptions, 106 yards and 1 touchdown. Jordan Addison absolutely steamrolled the Chicago Bears team. So did Aaron Jones. Jordan Addison, 8 receptions, 162 yards, a touchdown. Aaron Jones, 22 carries, 106 yards, a touchdown. And I wanted to also see one thing, the penalties. The Bears had 7 penalties for 80 yards compared to the 5 penalties for 45 yards of the Minnesota Vikings. So, all right, let's get that all out of the way, right? Let's stats are fun. Everybody's going to see breakdowns and yardage and touchdowns and all that. What did we see in this game? What did our eyes show us, right? We always talk about it here, our mantra, the week that was, the week before, and the week that's going to be. Last week, we saw a Bears team trying to figure things out and lose at the end of it to a heartbreaker and dumb mistakes and dumb coaching mistakes and decisions, and it cost them. And once again, that happened. I think the big picture aspect of this is 3 plays specifically. When the Chicago Bears had the Minnesota Vikings on 3rd and long and gave up the 3rd down conversion, that was ball game from the beginning of the game throughout the second half and then in overtime. The Chicago Bears heading into the season, all the excitement about the offensive pieces and drafting their young quarterback, it still came down to this was a top-tier defense and a guru on the defensive side with the mind of Matt Eberflus, and he took over the play calling, and this defense has emerged as a top tier in the NFL. Have they played like that this season? We just saw Montez Sweat finally get a sack on Sam Darnold. How many weeks had it been before that? How many times have we seen the Bears turn over the ball? And not just get a turnover, but then score, turn those into points. This was supposed to be the catalyst that led the Bears into the future to help guide their young quarterback by being a stout defense. They're not that. They don't stop anybody. They can't stop the run, and they can't stop the pass. They make mediocre quarterbacks and average running backs look elite. And it goes back into coaching. This all circles back to one player, Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams has to be bigger than the Chicago Bears and Matt Eberflus. Because when you're seeing the one thing Matt Eberflus is supposed to be great at, and quite frankly, they've sucked at for the last few weeks. And this has nothing to do with efforts by the players or even health of the team. Because in the NFL, everybody's hurt at this point. It's a few days before Thanksgiving. Every team in the NFL has injuries. The Chicago Bears were making these mistakes. We're not stopping people before all these injuries came in. Now, are they a good red zone defense? Do they really hunker down when it's only 10 yards between them and the end zone? Sure. They're in that position too often. You shouldn't be hanging your hat on being a really great red zone defense when you're constantly being put in the red zone by the other team's offense. When you're constantly being pressured, it's a bend, don't break defense, right? Eventually, you're going to break. I don't know what else any Bears fan, any Bears pundits, any player can say anymore. I actually think I don't want to hear anything from the locker room. I don't want to hear anything from Matt Eberflus. I am sick and tired of coming on to these post-game shows. I think a lot of people are sick and tired of doing post-game shows, listening to post-game shows, and trying to find a good in a loss. This is 5 straight losses for the Chicago Bears. 5. Heads need to roll. We saw Shane Waldron go, and we've seen Thomas Brown, the new offensive coordinator, kind of put things together, and Caleb having the progression he has. Something has to change. 5 straight games that you've lost. It's unacceptable at this point, what you've seen. And I am not going to sit here and say, oh, Caleb Williams played well. What a great comeback. They got an onside kick. They had a chance to win this game, and they didn't. Caleb had a chance to win this game in overtime and took a bad sack. Now, you give him the grace of being a rookie, and that's something he's going to learn and develop from, and it's not going to happen again, and it's going to be the back of his memory, and every one of these games is a learning lesson for him. That's all true. But this organization celebrates losing too much. You're going to hear in press conferences from the head coach. You're going to hear from the general manager if he ever comes down. If Kevin Warren ever appears when he's not begging for money for a new stadium. They love losing. They love talking about how good they looked and a loss. They love nothing more than to get congratulations for putting Band-Aids in the bullet wound that they shot themselves at. Right? That's this organization. That's the McCaskies. And that's Matt Eberflus. So you're going to hear all the nonsense about all the good they did. You have lost 5 straight games in the National Football League. I'm not sure how to equate that for everyday jobs, for everyday people. But you only have 17 of them. And you've already had a losing record your entire tenure as a coach. You don't win games on the road. You can't beat elite teams. Something has to give. It doesn't matter if DeAndre Swift has a good game, if Darnell Wright pancakes somebody. The guy who's leading this, the CEO who is in charge of making sure all this gels together, is not to be trusted. And a perfect example of that is you have Caleb Williams in this offense going down the field, and they have a 4th down play. And everybody knows you should probably just go for it at this point. And what is Matt Eberflus doing? How many, I don't know what to do. Going to send the kicking unit out there, not going to do it. You have the offense out there telling them, like, no, we're going to go for this play. And the crowd is going crazy at Soldier Field. Cairo Santos has disappointed you and has not been good. And because of your indecisiveness, not being able to be a leader, not being able to game manage, you have to have a hurry play, and it's a hurry throw, and now you're off the field on down. That is the microcosm of this entire operation ran by Matt Eberflus. Indecisiveness, dumb decisions, overhypeness, a lot of word salad throughout the week, and nothing comes of it. They can't win anything. They can't win against bad teams. They can't win against good teams. And when they compete, constantly, they do the thing that bad teams do. Make bad plays. And here's the thing. A good team takes advantage of bad plays. Bad teams give them that opportunity. And that's what the Bears have constantly done over the last 5-game losing streak. I know, it's fun that they've been in it. Oh, it's fun that it's come down to field goals the last 2 weeks against your division rivals. Has that changed for a win? Has that changed your mindset of this organization? You know they have talent. You know what your eyes are showing you. You know what you see. You're not crazy. And here's the thing too, right? Normally, as a fan, even if you're able to be lucky like me and do this podcast, cover the team, if you're a journalist, if you're in the locker room, normally it's the meatball in us, right? That talks about, oh, we're seeing this and we're seeing that. And normally the ex-players, ex-coaches will have to be the voice of reason to us and tell us why we're wrong. Show me a person who's defending Matt Eberflus right now. Show me an expert, a former player that's going to bat for this coach right now. Show me a more lame duck coach in the NFL than Matt Eberflus. And that falls right up into the front office and that ownership. They knew what they were doing bringing him back this season. They knew what they were doing giving him that extension on his contract. They knew what they were doing when they drafted Caleb Williams and they had a chance to bring in an offensive mind. Don't give this team any leeway. Yeah, it was an entertaining game. They came back. A lot of improbable things have happened. They played a good game against Green Bay the last week. Caleb Williams looks like the quarterback of the future. They have an awesome weapon in Roman Dunze. DJ Moore and Keenan Allen are pros. The things they sold you on have been fugazi, have been lies. They talked about hits principle, discipline, defense, and they've done none of it. They've done none of it, and it falls strictly on the head coach, who's supposed to be in charge of this entire team. If Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, I'll even go mid-tier of a coach. Kevin O'Connell, who I think is a good coach for the Vikings, but doesn't get all the love compared to some of these other guys. How much better are the Chicago Bears? That's a realization. That's not just fandom blaming the coach. You can point out the mistakes made by this coach. And then listening to him talk, how do you have any confidence in this person leading the charter franchise of the National Football League? I don't care about entertaining games. I love seeing the development and progression of Caleb Williams. That's awesome. Caleb Williams might be bear proof, might be McCaskey proof, might be dumb head coach proof, but it doesn't change week to week. What I saw last week, what I've seen this week, and what's coming to this Bears team on Thanksgiving Day shows me the incompetence of this entire organization. How incompetent Matt Eberflus was putting his staff together, in-game management, and the one thing he was supposed to be great at was being a defensive mind. And that defense has let down this team week after week after week. And I don't even know how much I could blame the team themselves and unless it's the play calling, because you have a 3rd and 13 and you're giving them 15 yards worth of room. That's the coverage you've designed as the defensive guru that is Matt Eberflus. I don't root for anybody to lose their job. I don't root for anybody to be bad at their job. But you have to call a spade when you're getting paid that much money, when you're in charge of one of the big institutes in all of sports in a major city, and you constantly fail at your job. At some point, something has to change. And now you have this game on Thanksgiving against the Detroit Lions, who easily could put up 50 points against you. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery will run up and down against his defense. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams, Sam Laporta are going to feast on this defense. Wait until Jared Goff gets his hands on a football on that field on Thanksgiving against this team, against Matt Eberflus. You think what you saw against Minnesota was bad? Wait until you see what happens on Thanksgiving. If they play this way, if Matt Eberflus does the Eberflus thing. And quite frankly, my job is always trying to find a key to victory on the Bear Era show. I don't know where to find one in that game. Tell me where to find one. You know, Caleb Williams played well against Brian Flores' defense. And if I had any confidence in this head coach, if I had any confidence that this team would be disciplined and not give up a punt because you put yourself in a bad position, even though, to be fair, Carter was telling people, poison, still a very Bears thing to do, give up the punt. And Cairo Santos doesn't have a big leg, kind of has the yips, even though he did have the tying field goal. Do you trust him going into next week's game? There is no matchup that the Bears look good in, even with Caleb playing well against a Brian Flores defense. How are the Bears going to keep up? I'm not even challenging the offense. I think the offense will put up points next week, even though Detroit's defense sneakily a little bit better than they were last year. Will the Bears make any resistance at all? Will they have any resistance? Will they pull up any resistance against this Detroit Lions offense on Thanksgiving? We all know it's the NFL, right? I could be saying this right now. And come 3:30 on Thanksgiving, the Bears are eating turkey and snapping into a drumstick, right? I know that. But I also live in reality. I know what I've seen. That 6th straight loss is coming. And it's going to be brutal. And I believe if you're a Bears fan, obviously you want to see a win. You want to see Caleb ball out. You also want to see Detroit put up 55 against this defensive guru, this team, and in front of everybody on national TV, on America's holiday, the biggest football day of the year. put it right in the face, smear it onto the McCaskies, onto Ryan Poles, and onto Kevin Warren. Because for all the good they did, this team has still taken a step backwards. And if it wasn't for the number 1 overall pick, the star rookie quarterback, it would be total doomsday scenario in Chicago. We want to know your thoughts as the Minnesota Vikings beat the Chicago Bears in overtime, 30-27. And coming up, a date on Thanksgiving against the Detroit Lions, the 4-7 Bears led by Matt Eberflus and all his wisdom heading into that game with a bullseye right on their back when it comes to Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery and Amon-Ra St. Brown. And I could just tell you this, Campbell, that man's a psychopath, right? He's foaming at the mouth to get and game plan against this Bears team. We want to know your thoughts. Tough one. Caleb Williams played great. A lot of great plays. That amazing throw to DeAndre Swift, that amazing throw to DJ Moore, it still ends in a Chicago Bears loss. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with the Bears losing if you've seen development from Caleb Williams? Are your expectations changed over the last few weeks? How has that changed your emotion? Let us know. I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media, Instagram, Mike Mercado Media. Make sure you guys leave a comment down below here on the YouTube channel. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Keep the conversation going as the week goes on into Thanksgiving. Of course, check me out at Bear Era. Just search us on YouTube, Bear Era Podcast. It's myself, Kieran Hall, and of course, EJ Snyder. The one shop stop you need to be if you're a Bears fan. We have some of the most amazing guests, and I truly mean that. Top tier amazing guests have been joining us, so make sure you guys check us out there as well. We'll be here. I don't know if we're going to do Thanksgiving Day proper, but we will have a Bears post-game show after the Detroit Lions game, probably on Black Friday, but we will see how that goes. But a frustrating loss with a roller coaster of emotion, frustrating loss. Chicago Bears fall to 4-7 in the season after losing to the Minnesota Vikings 30-27 in overtime. Check me out over at the Sports Cubicle, Sports from the Couch, and Bear Era. Enjoy the rest of your day. We have been here on the postgame show for the Chicago Bears losing to the Minnesota Vikings. I've been your host, Mike Mercado.